Two Utes.
Two what? What was that word?
What word?
Two what?
What?
Did you say Utes?
Yeah, two Utes.
What is a Ute?
Other than T.C.U.'s Gary Patterson and Iowa's Kirk Ferentz, no other coach in FBS football, and keep in mind there are 130 FBS coaches out there, have not had a longer consecutive tenure at their school than that of Kyle Whittingham, now entering year number 14 at Salt Lake City. And, Whittingham's done a nice job at Utah. He's had 111 career wins. Of course, last year, though, not one of his better years, as the Utes, despite winning all their games outside of Pac-12 play, were only 3-6 in it. In fact, they had to beat Colorado the final regular season game just to get to bowl eligibility. Last year's 7-6 team, again, not one of his better seasons, but this year, optimism at least offensively because they have a lot of starters back. Tyler Huntley is one of them. Remember last year, he beat up the incumbent, Troy Williams, for the starting QB position, and I thought put up nice numbers, 64% completion percentage, that's good. 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, though. That number has to be decreased entering 2018. And on the ground, by the way, 6 touchdowns and over 500 yards rushing. So Tyler Huntley, we'll see if he can have a season in which the interceptions come down and he can continue his fine play elsewhere. Zack Moss, one of the better running backs in all of the Pac-12. Last year, over 1,100 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns, 5.5 yards a carry. So you have him back. But the receiver position, you'll be without the top 2 from a year ago, including Darren Carrington. Might remember his troubled pass from Oregon. Well, he was a graduate transfer last year and really delivered with the solid season, about 1,000 yards receiving for Carrington. So, fortunately, you don't have him anymore, or Raylan Singleton. But you do bring into the mix 4 other receivers who caught at least 20 passes, including Damari Simpkins as well as Siasi Wilson. Wilson, as a matter of fact, last season averaged 19 yards a catch. And one guy that you haven't had the last 2 years, and believe me, the Utes gladly welcome back Britton Covey to the lineup. 2015 had 43 completions, including over 500 yards in reception yardage. You might be saying, well, where's he been? Well, he's been on a church mission for the last 2 seasons. So Covey's back and should really help the wide receiver position. Most of the line comes back for the Utes. 4 of the 5 starters are back. Jackson Barton, left tackle. You return him along with the center, one of the better offensive linemen in the Pac-12, in Lo Falimeka. Also, Jordan Agasifa is back at right guard. And at the right tackle spot, Darren Paulo. So lots of experience on that front for the Utes. Despite the departure of their top 2 tacklers from last season, the Utah defense, they're confident that they can still remain amongst the best in the Pac-12. Last year, ranked 3rd in the conference in total D, giving up 338 yards per game. Not bad at all, and that was 25th nationally. Big thing that you have to focus on if you're a Ute fan, getting to the quarterback, which 2 years ago, they did just that. 43 sacks in 2016, but last year, bit of a decline. Only 25 times did they get quarterback sacks. So we'll see if this defensive line, which is a lot of size, we'll see if that can translate into some punishing play on that front. You do return Bradley Anai, 39 tackles in 2017, and he can get around the corner in a hurry. Had 10 tackles for loss and 7 sacks, so he can play. Linebacker, well, your leading returning tackler is Chase Hansen. Had 51 stops a year ago. Another linebacker, you got Cody Barton with 45 tackles. So linebacker, I think they're covered in that area. It's a 4-2-5 defense that will see the Utes run, and plenty of experience in that secondary, including Julian Blackman, one of the better corners in the Pac-12 with 48 tackles and 4 picks. And on the other side, 6 feet 4 inches tall, Tyrone Smith. You also get back Marquise Blair at a strong safety position. He was active in 2017 with 47 tackles. Another stat to bring up if you're a Utah fan that you really have to focus on, endurance. Because last year, in quarters 1, 2, and 3, they gave up 65 points in each quarter. But in the 4th quarter, they gave up 105. So you got to wonder if Utah, again, is going to have endurance issues. Of course, endurance, the offense plays just as much of a role in the defense having endurance because of the amount of time that the offense spends on the field. But on the other hand, Utah, we will see if they have enough kick at the finish line in order to decrease the amount of points they give up in the fourth quarter. Because last year, again, 6 losses, and you wonder how much fatigue really played into that. So let's look at the 6 biggest games on Utah's schedule. I couldn't narrow it down to 5. It had to be 6. Mid-September, Washington, a team that many think can win the entire league and get to the college football playoff. Utah, although they'll be at home, is 1-10 lifetime against the Huskies. Stanford's going to be pretty good, too. You got to play them at Palo Alto early October. And then the next week, Arizona could be a sleeper team in the South, but at least you get them at Salt Lake City. And then USC, the defending Pac-12 champions, the next week. And then 6 days later at UCLA. That's not going to be an easy October. And then November 10th against Oregon. So I think it's possible for Utah to beat Arizona, but still finish below them in the standings because Arizona does not play Washington or Stanford, and Utah does. As a matter of fact, you got to play Oregon, the best 3 teams out of the North. So that's a rotten draw on the schedule. I think Utah will be competitive, but I don't know if they'll be consistent. I've got them finishing 3rd in the Pac-12 South. That's my look at the Utes. Catch you next time.